The 7th year I've been with Ethan. I secretly bought a wedding dress and mustered up the courage to propose to him. But unfortunately, I arrived a few minutes late to the party that day. Just in time to overhear him talking to his friends. You mean Chloe? She's already gotten boring. Ethan lit a cigarette and laughed carelessly. 7 years, wouldn't you be bored? The others joined in the laughter. You're right. 7 years? Even a goddess would get boring. But Chloe is really pretty. She's got a great figure. At Han Sheng's birthday party last time, she wore a stepmother dress, and every man there couldn't take his eyes off her. Seriously, Han Sheng, you used to be so into her. How can you let her go now? Ethan's voice was indifferent. When have I ever told a lie? Then, if I were to pursue Chloe, you wouldn't mind, right? Go ahead. Ethan casually blew out a smoke ring, as long as you don't make me uncomfortable. What a loser. You're not ashamed? Even someone Han Sheng has grown tired of, you're willing to take. Another round of laughter erupted. That night, I didn't enter the private room. I made up an excuse about a headache and went home early. Ethan didn't ask a single question and hung up the phone. The decision to break up was made that night, once and for all. A few days later, the news started spreading like wildfire in the circle. Ethan was pursuing a second-year college girl from the performing arts department, young, delicate, and innocent. His pursuit was as grand as ever. Just like when he pursued me back then, he wanted the whole world to know. Throwing houses, cars, and jewelry around as he pleased. The young girl had never seen such a spectacle before and fell for him in no time. At a gathering organized by friends, Ethan showed up with her. As soon as they walked in, everyone fell silent. A few girls who were on good terms with me looked at me with concern. I smiled. Why aren't you saying anything? What are you looking at? Ethan wrapped his arm around the girl and sat down, finally looking at me straight on. Chloe, today is a good opportunity. I'll just say it straight. Go ahead. These past few years of breaking up and getting back together have been pretty pointless. Our feelings have long since faded. I clenched my hands tightly, the ring on my middle finger digging deeply into my flesh. But I felt no pain. Lily is young and innocent. I truly like her and don't want to make her suffer. Ethan stroked the girl's hair. I need to give her a proper relationship. I nodded slightly. I understand. We can still be friends. If you ever need anything, just let me know. As long as you're in Beijing, I'll still look out for you. Let's not do that. I smiled faintly and stood up. Since we've parted ways, let's be clear about it, so the girl won't misunderstand. Ethan raised his eyebrows in surprise for a moment before saying, You're right. Then you two go ahead. I'll head back first. Should I have the driver send you? No need. I'll take a taxi. As I walked out of the room and closed the door, I heard someone ask. How long do you think Chloe can hold out this time? 2 days. She seems really upset this time. I'll bet a week. Ethan glanced at the door, which wasn't fully closed, and smiled coldly. She'll be back crying in less than 3 days. It's been like this for years. I'm tired of it. True. How could Chloe ever leave you? Everyone knows she's crazy about you. I gave a self-deprecating smile, clenched my handbag, and hurried toward the elevator. Back at the apartment, I went to the corner of the walk-in closet and took down the wedding dress. I had waited half a year to get it, but alas, I would never have the chance to wear it. The dress was custom-made and couldn't be returned. I decided to find a pair of scissors and cut it up. After all, leaving it here would only be an eyesore for Ethan. Before leaving, I took off the ring and placed it on the coffee table. There wasn't much I took with me. Besides my personal belongings, I didn't want anything else. After thinking it over, I left a note for Ethan, saying he could dispose of the house and everything in it as he pleased, without needing to ask me. I booked a flight to San Francisco at midnight. My best friend had moved there earlier this year, so I'd go visit her to clear my head. My best friend invited me out for shopping and afternoon tea. There was also a small gathering in the evening with old classmates and friends. After a few rounds of drinks, someone else walked in. Several female classmates lit up. Alexander? You're such a rare guest. Yeah, big shot. Why did you bother to show up tonight? I was just next door discussing some business and heard about the old friends gathering, so I dropped by to join the fun. Alexander spoke, his gaze lingering on a certain spot for a moment before slowly shifting away. My best friend nudged me discreetly. Chloe, Alexander is here for you, right? I looked at the man with blurry eyes. He was taller than Ethan, wearing a black coat with a matching suit underneath. His features were sharp and handsome, with a well-built physique and incredibly long legs. I squinted at him for a moment before shaking my head. No way, we haven't been in touch for years. My best friend ignored me and called out to Alexander, Alex, could you give Chloe a ride later? We've all been drinking, and I don't feel safe letting her take a ride-hailing service. I looked up at Alexander in shock. Alexander's gaze also swept past the crowd and landed on my face. After about 2 seconds, I saw him nod, sure. Thanks, boss. My best friend smiled sweetly, sat down, and whispered in my ear, Chloe, sleeping with one man for 7 years doesn't seem worth it. Ethan can be fickle and play around, why can't you start over? Besides, someone like Alexander is a catch, why not take advantage of it? How do you know he'll sleep with me? The way he looks at you, he's practically undressing you with his eyes, sweetie. Trust me, I've dated 18 guys, I have more experience than you. Alexander drove me back to the hotel. When we arrived at the hotel lobby, I unbuckled my seatbelt. And thanked him, thank you for driving me back tonight. Alexander turned his head toward me, you're welcome. I opened the car door to get out, but suddenly remembered what Ethan had said that day. Without thinking, I blurted out, want to come up for a cup of tea? Alexander kissed me in the elevator. I was already drunk, and his forceful, domineering kiss nearly left me gasping for air. There's surveillance, I panted, my cheeks flushed red. My legs weak and trembling, unable to stand, so I clung tightly to his waist. Alexander glanced at the camera, turned around, changed his angle, and kissed me again. As he swiped open the door, he suddenly called out to me, Chloe, if you regret this now, I can stop. Regret what? I looked up at him, my fingers twisting his tie, pulling him closer. You kissed my lips until they swelled. Now you want to stop. Alexander suddenly laughed, reaching out to gently trace his fingertips over my swollen lips. Then even if you regret it later, it'll be too late. Our first time, Alexander didn't even wait until we were in the bedroom. The wall was pressing against my back, making it hurt a little, and I couldn't help but cry and bite him. Alexander, you're an animal, don't you know how to treat a lady? His burning palm was pressed against my back. Finally, he kissed my neck, panting, Chloe, I can't hold back anymore. 5 minutes later, I finally understood what he meant. Alexander carried me back to the bedroom. I buried my face in the pillow and laughed uncontrollably. Alexander, how long has it been since you've been with a woman? Alexander looked at me with a serious expression. It's been a while. I've been busy with work these past few years. I looked at him in surprise and gradually stopped laughing. A moment later, tears suddenly welled up in my eyes. I'm sorry, Alexander. I've defiled you. Chloe, what are you saying? Maybe because I was crying, Alexander seemed flustered. He fumbled around trying to wipe my tears, but they kept flowing. I shouldn't have tempted you. But you already did. Alexander leaned down, cupped my face, and looked at me intently, his tone serious. Chloe, since you tempted me, you have to see it through. The 7th day in Hong Kong. Justin, a friend from Beijing, suddenly sent me a WeChat message. Chloe, when are you coming back to Beijing? I don't plan on going back anytime soon. Everyone misses you. Joey's birthday is in a couple of days. Come back for the gathering. No, tell him I'll send a gift. Alright, take care of yourself. In the private room, Justin handed his phone to Ethan. Han Sheng, take a look. Why don't you call Chloe? She'll definitely listen to you. Ethan coldly stared at the few lines on the screen. Then suddenly crushed his cigarette and stood up. If she wants to go back, let her. She's better off dead out there. Han Sheng, don't get angry. Chloe must be feeling really bad inside. Yeah, she even took off the ring this time. She must be really heartbroken. It's all because you and that woman caused too much trouble. We've already broken up. What does she want now? Ethan suddenly flew into a rage. Listen carefully. No one is allowed to contact her again, not even if she's dead. Alright, we won't contact her. Don't get so angry. You just had a stomach hemorrhage from drinking 2 days ago. You never had stomach issues when Chloe was around. She's only been gone a few days, and you've already driven yourself into this state. Every word from his friends made Ethan's expression grow darker. In the end, he grabbed his jacket and slammed the door shut. As he walked downstairs, the cold wind blew against his face, but the anger in his chest refused to subside. That woman, Chloe, really has some nerve. It's been 7 days, and she hasn't even called or texted once. Is she really playing games? Ethan coldly added Chloe's number to his blacklist. You better not come crawling back to me crying. Because this time, I won't be as soft-hearted as I was before. When Alexander called, I had just finished typing the last line and was about to format the text. I started writing a magazine column during college and achieved some success. So after graduation, I decided to go full-time. Thanks to this talent, my income was decent. The job was flexible, and I could travel anywhere with my laptop. So after breaking up, there was no reason to stay in New York and dwell on the past. Chloe, what do you want for dinner? Alexander's voice came through clearly, and the afternoon's hustle and bustle seemed to fade away instantly. My brain cells are dying by the millions. I'm so tired. You decide. How about hot pot? I know a place with amazing brain flour, you'll love it. I always order brain flour when eating hot pot. But later, Ethan said it looked disgusting, so I rarely touched it anymore. But I vaguely remembered that Alexander's diet was always very light. Alexander, you don't have to accommodate me, I'm not picky anymore. I just suddenly really want it. Remember in college, there was a hot pot place in the second canteen with really tender and fresh brain flour? Hearing him talk about it made me craving it too. That hot pot place was indeed delicious. I ate there for 4 years in college and never got tired of it. Alright, let's have hot pot then. I'll come pick you up now. Okay. Alexander took me to a Chongqing hot pot restaurant that had been around for many years in Hong Kong. The place was old and small, but it was always packed. Alexander, dressed in his suit and tie, looked completely out of place in this environment. I watched as he carefully wiped down the chair with a napkin. He then skillfully rinsed the bowls and chopsticks with hot water and poured me some juice. Despite being a playboy, he handled these mundane tasks with ease. Alexander, your ex-girlfriend really trained you well. I couldn't help but remark. Unlike me, who had been in an on-again, off-again relationship for 7 years. The only time I ever felt pampered and cherished was when Ethan was pursuing me at the beginning. Later, during the year and a half we lived together after college graduation, I felt like a housewife. Ethan has a weak stomach, so I learned to cook and make soup. I took care of his every need like a little wife. But now I finally understand. I loved him so much that I lost myself, even forgetting the basic principle of loving yourself before loving others. How could I expect his love to last forever? Alexander helped me wash the vegetables while glancing up at me. Where did you hear that I had an ex-girlfriend? I paused. Weren't you always with that girl in college? I thought you were childhood sweethearts who grew up together. You mean Emily? Alexander laughed. We did grow up together, but we never dated. I didn't like her, I just saw her as a younger sister. So you haven't dated anyone in all these years? Alexander folded the sleeves of his shirt slowly. I went on a few blind dates, had some brief encounters, but it didn't work out. Oh, so nothing else happened after that? I lowered my eyes, recalling his behavior that night. It seemed like his words were suddenly 10 times more believable. Chloe, I won't do that again. Alexander's sudden remark left me confused. What won't you do again? He turned his face away and cleared his throat. Probably because of the steam rising from the boiling hot pot, his ears were bright red. You'll find out later. Alexander scooped some braised pig's brain into my bowl, eat. All the way back to the hotel. After he helped me into the bathroom and carried me back to bed. I finally understood what he meant earlier. But at that moment, I felt like I was about to fall apart. Alexander. I couldn't help but glare at him, but my eyes were misty, making me look even more alluring. The sound of my voice calling his name seemed to carry a hint of playful teasing, not at all like someone who was truly angry. Alexander lowered his head and kissed me gently. Chloe, do you feel comfortable? I shook my head, refusing to answer him. He didn't get angry, just kept kissing me gently over and over. I couldn't take it anymore, and tears welled up in the corners of my eyes. Alexander. My nails scratched his lower back, and my voice was already filled with sobs. Chloe, tell me now, do you feel comfortable? Alexander was also holding back, his eyes red, his arms tense, and sweat dripping from his forehead. I finally broke down and cried softly, I'm comfortable, I'm comfortable. As my consciousness faded, Alexander whispered in my ear. Chloe, if you're comfortable, please never leave me, okay? On Joey's birthday, I had a friend deliver the gift I bought in San Francisco to him. Ethan sat on the sofa smoking, the glass of wine in front of him already half empty. The gift for Joey was something Alexander and I had chosen together. It was a vintage cufflink from a high-end brand he really liked. These cufflinks are quite elegant. Joey smiled stiffly, glancing at Ethan's expression and dared not say more, hurriedly asking his girlfriend to put it away. Hand it over. Ethan suddenly spoke up. Joey froze but dared not say more, quickly handing over the box. Ethan stared at the pair of cufflinks. The brand's logo was understated and not very noticeable, but Ethan stared at them for a long time. Put it away. He closed the box and pushed it aside. Joey sighed in relief and reached out to take it. But Ethan suddenly grabbed the empty wine bottle in front of him and smashed it on the coffee table. Shards of glass flew everywhere, and a long gash appeared on the back of his hand. The private room immediately fell into chaos. What's going on? Why did you suddenly lose your temper, Han Sheng? You're injured badly. The bleeding won't stop. We should take you to the hospital immediately. Ethan stood there motionless, his face dark and filled with anger. Chloe never bought anything from this brand. His voice was low but hoarse and heavy. Joey hurriedly smiled and said, What's the big deal? Chloe probably just picked it randomly. After all, it's not like your birthday, where Chloe has been thinking about what to give you for half a year. That's right, Han Sheng. The place you hold in her heart is worth more than all of us combined. Everyone knows how much Chloe cares about you and how much she cherishes you. Ethan scoffed coldly upon hearing this. Cares about me? The noisy crowd fell silent, one by one. Han Sheng. Should I call Chloe? Let's handle the injury first. Joey suddenly mustered his courage, took out his phone, and snapped a photo of Ethan's swollen hand. He then sent it directly to Chloe via WeChat. Ethan didn't stop him, perhaps because Joey acted too quickly for him to react. The private room suddenly fell silent. And after about 10 seconds, Joey's phone rang. See, I told you Chloe loves you so much and cares about you so much. Han Sheng, look, it's Chloe's call. Joey said excitedly. Everyone else also noticed that Ethan's face, which had been filled with anger, seemed to relax slightly. Han Sheng, should you answer it? Joey handed the phone over, but Ethan didn't even glance at it and turned his face away. Joey said happily, I'll answer it, hee hee. He deliberately turned on the speakerphone, and when Chloe's voice came through, Ethan's lips tightened instantly. Joey, what happened? Are you hurt? It's not me, it's Han Sheng's hand. You have no idea how badly it's hurt, how scary it is, the blood won't stop flowing. Joey rambled on for a while, but there was no response on the other end of the line. Chloe, are you listening? Maybe you should come back. Han Sheng refuses to go to the hospital, and he's been bleeding non-stop. Joey. Chloe's voice remained as gentle and melodious as ever. Yeah, I'm listening, Chloe. Joey responded while giving Ethan a meaningful glance. Don't tell me about his affairs anymore. The smile on Joey's face vanished instantly. Chloe? Oh, and happy birthday, Joey. Chloe, you, don't hang up, Chloe. But the sound of the call disconnecting rang out clearly. Joey was completely stunned, holding the phone like it was a hot potato. He wished he could slap himself unconscious. Why did he meddle in other people's business? What trouble had he gotten himself into? The private room was deathly quiet. Ethan looked around calmly and smiled. Everyone's gone mute. No one dared to speak. Ethan laughed again. Why the hell aren't you saying anything? Han Sheng. Don't get angry, the blood's flowing again. Han Sheng, you know Chloe's temper better than anyone. Sophia, who had been sitting quietly in the corner, suddenly spoke up. Actually, I've wanted to say this for a long time. What you did before was very hurtful. Chloe is a girl, and girls have the thinnest skin. Even if you don't like her anymore, you should at least part ways amicably. Who said I want to part ways amicably with her? Ethan laughed mockingly and coldly. She's been with me for 7 years. Even if I were to keep a dog, I'd have trained it by now. Sophia laughed softly. Have you ever thought about it? How many 7 years does a girl have in her life? What if Chloe never comes back? It's impossible. No one noticed the faint tremor in Ethan's voice. What in this world is impossible? Once your heart is shattered and frozen, how hard is it to warm it again? Han Sheng, don't do anything you'll regret. Sophia finished speaking and didn't linger any longer. She grabbed her bag and stood up to leave. Vincent, sitting not far away, watched her with a dark expression. She was his wife of 2 years. Was she feeling sorry for Chloe and speaking up for her? Or was she reminiscing and blaming Vincent for not treating her well as his wife? Rongshen, aren't you going to see your sister-in-law off? Vincent curled his lips and lit a cigarette. Who's your sister-in-law? She's filming right now and won't be out of the crew until next month. Just do as you please. His friend shook his head helplessly. Vincent remained non-committal. Sophia and Chloe were different. Chloe had no family burdens and could support herself. If they divorced, it would just mean a lower standard of living. But Sophia had the bottomless pit of the Schwa family behind her, and an ailing older brother. She dared not leave him. Even if you gave her 10 times the courage, she wouldn't dare. I had just hung up the phone when Alexander embraced me from behind. He rested his jaw against my neck and gently rubbed it, but didn't say a word. I couldn't help but laugh. What's wrong? Chloe, will you go back? Go back where? Back to New York. I don't plan to go back for now, but who knows in the future? After all, I didn't do anything shameful. Why can't I go back? My home is still there. Alexander fell silent again. I finally figured out what he was implying. Are you asking if I'll get back together with Ethan? Would you? I said absolutely not. Do you believe me? Alexander lowered his eyelids, his high nose gently brushing against my cheek. I want to believe you. Alexander, I have my dignity. But do you still have feelings for him? I thought carefully. If I say there's nothing left, that's not realistic. After all, it's been so many years. Alexander suddenly bit me gently. Don't say that, Chloe. Let me finish. But it's not exactly a feeling of reluctance or resentment. I gently stroked Alexander's face. Being apart from him doesn't cause me much pain or suffering, so maybe I stopped loving him long ago. Maybe, from the moment he started to lose interest in this relationship, I had already prepared myself to break up. I won't. Ha! I won't lose interest, I won't be indecisive, I won't make you cry or feel sad. Alexander held me tighter and tighter, and finally, he kissed me again. Chloe, stay with me. But I didn't reciprocate his kiss. And in the end, I gently pushed him away. Alexander, I'm sorry. Why are you sorry? He looked down at me, his eyes slightly red. It's my own fault. I avoided his gaze. I don't want to talk about feelings anymore. Then what have we been to each other these past few days? Alexander gripped my shoulders, his voice trembling. Chloe, what do you think I am? I clenched my fists tightly and took a deep breath. Let's just consider this a mutual arrangement. If you're willing, we can continue this relationship. If you meet someone you like, you can end it any time. What kind of relationship? A tool to satisfy physical needs? You can think of it that way. I refused to look at him, afraid I'd start crying. Alexander, I'm so sorry. If this arrangement makes you uncomfortable, I'll leave Hong Kong immediately. I swear I'll never bother you again. Chloe. Alexander's eyes were bloodshot. He let go of my hands and slowly took a step back. He seemed to be smiling, but the smile was broken. Chloe, you can't do this to me. Alexander. He turned around, grabbed his coat, and walked toward the door. I instinctively took a step forward but stopped. Alexander walked all the way to the door. As his hand gripped the doorknob, he suddenly turned back to look at me. He even gave me a reassuring smile. I'm sorry. I just need some time alone. I nodded. All right, I won't disturb you. Chloe, give me some time. I'll give you an answer. Alexander left. But I felt completely drained, slowly sitting down on the sofa. I couldn't describe the pain I felt inside. But I was more aware than ever that I couldn't do anything now. I couldn't throw myself into loving someone else again. I couldn't start a new relationship. I was truly afraid, afraid that in the end, we would grow to despise each other. I was afraid of the look in that person's eyes, from the initial passion to indifference and then to coldness and disgust. I didn't want to repeat the same mistake. But I shouldn't have gotten involved with Alexander. If I had known from the beginning that he liked me, then that night, I definitely wouldn't have let him drive me back to the hotel. It was already 3 a.m. Alexander drove back to the hotel where Chloe was staying. He got out of the car but didn't go inside. Instead, he leaned against the car and lit a cigarette. Countless windows were lit up, but he couldn't find Chloe's. But he knew she was there, in Hong Kong, in the same city as him. He knew that if he went inside, he'd see her in 10 minutes. It felt like joy and fulfillment. Actually, it only took him less than 2 days to figure it out. He had easily convinced himself. Chloe had just ended a relationship, so it was normal for her not to want to date again. She was disappointed and resistant toward men, love, and even marriage. It was only natural. Perhaps he had been too eager and shouldn't have pressured her like that. If she felt that maintaining this relationship for now would make her feel more relaxed and comfortable, he didn't really mind not having a proper relationship with her. What could be more painful than loving someone and not being able to have them? If there was anything worse, it would have been a year and a half ago, when he found out that Chloe and Ethan had started living together. At that time, he had truly decided to let go. That's why he tried going on blind dates and meeting new people, wanting to move on. But he tried and realized it wasn't working, so he ended it decisively. Later, no matter how much his family urged him, he never entertained such thoughts again. If Chloe hadn't broken up with him and come to Hong Kong, if she hadn't asked him to come up that night, perhaps he would have spent the rest of his life alone. Alexander stubbed out his cigarette, his gaze growing calm and resolute. But Chloe had come to Hong Kong. And that night, she had spoken up. If the girl he loved was right in front of him, yet he still let her slip away. Then Alexander, you wouldn't deserve the happiness you desire. The night before I was set to leave Hong Kong, I met up with my best friend for drinks. How's things going with Alexander? My friend eyed me up and down. Look at you, glowing with love. Your skin is so soft it looks like you could squeeze water out of it. Alexander must be taking good care of you. I should just move on. I don't want to date or get married. Chloe, why are you punishing yourself for someone else's mistakes? Besides, it's not fair to Alexander either. They say the previous generation plants the trees for the next to enjoy the shade, and I agree with that. But it doesn't make sense for the previous partner's sins to be visited upon the current one, does it? Ethan was a jerk, but Alexander is a man worth trusting. Why are you holding a grudge against Alexander because of Ethan? I'm not biased against him, I just haven't gotten over it yet. You haven't gotten over it, you've been manipulated by Ethan for 7 years. You think you don't deserve true love and happiness. Hearing this, I couldn't help but freeze. Is that it? Because of the pain and confusion caused by being so attached to something and then losing it. Because of an extreme lack of security, I've become overly sensitive. So I subconsciously doubt everyone and the whole world. I believe I won't get love that's truly devoted to me. But why can't I get genuine love? Those who betray true feelings deserve to suffer 1,000 times over. But those who love sincerely, the heavens will open a new door for them. Sweetie, do you know how amazing you are? My best friend hugged me and gently shook me. You're so beautiful, with such a great figure. You could earn enough to support yourself in college and even support me. You're beautiful, capable, and kind. If I were a man, I'd die to marry you. You deserve to be loved, Chloe. You deserve to be cherished by the best man. Not wasted on a man like Ethan. Trust me, honey. He'll regret it. For the rest of his life, he'll never be able to let go of losing you. Call Alexander right now. And cancel your flight. Don't think I don't know you're trying to run away again. I looked at my best friend, my eyes growing wet, but Yuyen, you said that Alexander and I might end up like this too. No, you won't. Why? Because I believe a man with enough self-control and who refuses to settle for less will never foolishly let go of the girl he loves. Do you think he's like Ethan, that pig? I shook my head. He wasn't like Ethan. So call him now, sweetheart. You have no idea how happy he'll be. I thought of Alexander being happy. But I never imagined that a man in his late 20s, the CEO of a successful family business, would be so happy to hear from me that he sounded like a child. My best friend smiled at me. Chloe, are you happy? I nodded. I think. I'm really happy. See? You're happy, and Alexander is even happier. That's all that matters, right? My best friend laughed. Now, whenever I think about how unhappy Ethan will be in the future, I get so happy I can't stop laughing. Maybe not. He might already have someone new to keep him company. I smiled faintly. Yuan, let's not mention him anymore. At that moment, I could say those words without a single ripple of emotion. It was as if that person had nothing to do with me anymore. Alexander's car arrived downstairs just as I stepped out of the bar. He stood in the night breeze, arms wide open toward me. I stopped in my tracks and looked at him. To be honest, he really was handsome. Every feature was right up my alley. Men can love countless women at the same time, cheating without even breaking up. Seamless transitions aren't even a flaw. So if I date someone else after breaking up, that's not wrong either. I walked toward him, and he walked toward me with big strides. Amidst the crowd, Alexander and I kissed as if no one else existed. His heart was beating so fast. I touched the back of his neck. It was burning hot. Alexander, are you feverish? His forehead pressed against mine, breathing heavily, his voice low. Chloe, I don't know what's wrong with me. Whenever I'm with you, I smiled softly, tiptoed to kiss his chin. Maybe we should touch each other more often. Alexander's ears turned even redder and hotter. He cupped my face, his gaze burning into mine. Chloe, what am I to you right now? I teased him deliberately. What do you think? Casual hookup or boyfriend? He asked, but before I could answer, he buried his face in the side of my neck and whispered. Never mind, don't answer. I don't want to know right now. My hands gently wrapped around his waist, pulling him closer to me. You really don't want to know? Boyfriend. Ethan's car pulled up at the entrance of an alley. He got out and walked deeper into the alley. There lived an old tailor whose ancestors had once worked in the textile industry in Jiangnan. Now that he was old, he had long since stopped taking customers. But Ethan had his ways of convincing the old man. The wedding dress Chloe had torn up had been sent to the master tailor half a month ago. Today, it was almost fully repaired. As he walked, he thought about what Joey had said 2 days ago. All girls long to wear a wedding dress and marry the man they love. He had been with Chloe for 7 years, yet he had never once thought of proposing. He never imagined that Chloe would ever consider proposing to him. These past few days, he had indeed behaved like a fool. But those women were just fleeting infatuations, he had never taken any of them seriously. Even Lily, who caused Chloe to break up with him and leave. She only kept him entertained for 3 days. After getting to know her, he found her boring, and his heart still longed for Chloe. After 7 years together, he had indeed grown tired and bored. But some people are like colorless, odorless air, you only realize how important they are once they're gone. In the days since Chloe left, he couldn't muster the energy to do anything. Even when he's out with friends, all he can think about is her. Especially when he's drunk, Chloe would pretend to be angry and stop him from leaving. If she couldn't stop him, she'd stay up late to make him soup, let him rest his head on her lap, and massage his temples. Her fingers were soft, and her gentle complaints and loving murmurs were annoying at the time. Now, he misses them dearly. Ethan thought that this time, when Chloe came back, he would propose to her. He had actually known for a long time how much Chloe wanted to marry him. If he gave her marriage, she would feel at ease and forgive him, right? The old tailor's craftsmanship was truly exceptional. The wedding dress had been repaired to look almost exactly like the original. Ethan paid the bill and was about to leave when his phone suddenly rang. He felt inexplicably nervous until he saw Joey's name flashing on the screen. His wildly beating heart slowly calmed down. Han Sheng, there's something I've been thinking about, and I think I should tell you. What is it? Don't get upset when you hear it. It's not for sure, and it might just be a rumor. What is it? It's about Chloe. Maybe I shouldn't say anything. I think it's probably just a rumor. Joey, when did you become so emotional? What happened to Chloe? Did she go back to New York? Han Sheng. Joey suddenly felt a mix of emotions he couldn't describe. How did things get to this point? Chloe getting linked to someone else was bad enough, but why did it have to be Alexander? Ethan had always been at odds with him over the years. Especially 2 years ago, when Ethan's company and Alexander's Changheng industry fought tooth and nail over a major project. In the end, Alexander emerged victorious and secured the project, leaving Ethan empty-handed. That was the first time he had ever tasted defeat. As a result, their already tense relationship became even more strained. I told you, don't get angry. It's just hearsay, there's no concrete evidence. Exactly, someone saw Chloe in Hong Kong. Ethan's fingers tightened around his phone, but he managed to keep his voice calm. What's she doing in Hong Kong? She was seen with Alexander. Of course, they might just be having dinner, nothing more. I see. Han Sheng. If there's nothing else, I'll hang up. Ethan hung up the phone. He carried the large paper bag containing the wedding dress Chloe had bought. He walked step by step in the cold winter wind of New York. He walked all the way to the alley entrance, by the car. Ethan suddenly stopped in his tracks. A faint, mocking smile slowly spread across his handsome face. The next moment, he tossed the elegant paper bag into the trash can without hesitation. 2 months after Chloe left, Ethan had sent her a WeChat message. The message was sent successfully, but it went unanswered. The message read, I'm planning to sell the apartment. What should I do with your clothes? Perhaps he had forgotten the note Chloe left him, telling him to dispose of everything here as he saw fit. Or maybe he was just being deliberate, using it as an excuse to contact her. Ethan might have been thinking that this was the way out he was offering Chloe. If she were smart, she would take it. His temper might seem bad, but in reality, he was easy to please. Chloe never replied. The apartment remained unsold. Chloe's clothes and all her belongings were left exactly as they were. It was as if she had never left at all. Ethan would always come here late at night after social engagements. He would lie on Chloe's bed, unable to sleep until dawn. 3 months after Chloe left. It was still the same late night. As the clock's hands neared midnight, Ethan dialed Chloe's phone number. Chloe was a very conservative and well-behaved girl. Although her family was ordinary, they were well off, and her parents doted on her. However, because she was beautiful from a young age, her elders imposed strict discipline on her. It wasn't until the autumn of her university graduation year that Chloe began living with him. He still remembered that night. She was so nervous that her entire body was trembling. Every inch of her skin glowed with a fiery red. She was breathtakingly beautiful, lying beneath him, fragile and vulnerable. When it was over, she cried hysterically, repeating over and over, Ethan, you mustn't hurt me. You must never hurt me. You must treat me well and marry me. Ethan, we'll be together forever, won't we? But that innocent, naive Chloe who believed she would be with the man she loved forever, had been lost to him long ago. So long that he could barely remember what expression she had on her face when they said goodbye for the last time. Was she smiling and nodding, or had her eyes turned red and tears fallen? The phone rang for a while, just as he thought she wouldn't answer. But the call connected. In that moment, he actually wanted to say, Chloe, come back. But when he opened his mouth, what came out was, Chloe, come back once you've had enough. His foolish, laughable words were interrupted by a man's soft laugh. That laugh felt like a cold, hard block of ice hitting him in the head. And Ethan felt as though his entire body was wrapped in ice, unable to move. Mr. Frost, you can't leave a girl hanging like this. Otherwise, someone else will come and take her away. Alexander? Ethan's eyes turned red as he ground out the name. It's me, Alexander. Where's Chloe? Make her answer the phone. Ethan's eyes were bloodshot, red, and terrifying. He clenched the phone tightly, his low growl trembling. Alexander, if you dare to take advantage of her. She can't answer. Alexander lowered his head and gently kissed his girl. Chloe's eyelashes were still wet with tears, her lips pouting. Though her eyes were closed, her face was filled with nothing but sorrow. His heart softened beyond control, and he kissed her eyelashes, sucking away the tear. She's still unconscious. She's angry with me. I need to kiss her awake first. Alexander. Ethan's voice trailed off. Alexander hung up the phone and turned it off. His kiss landed on Chloe's swollen lips. Baby, wake up. I had actually thought about what it would be like to meet Ethan again. He came from a wealthy family and was arrogant to the core. We had broken up peacefully, so if we ever happened to meet again, either he would ignore me, or we could nod and exchange polite greetings. After all, my parents and relatives were all in New York. Ethan and I also had some mutual friends. It was unlikely that we would never cross paths again. But I never imagined that such a high and mighty playboy, who was always fawned over by everyone, would ever have such a moment of disarray and decline. At that moment, I was in a particularly good mood because I had slept well. I was wearing a new nude pink cashmere dress and had done my makeup beautifully. I looked like a ripe, sweet peach. I was holding Alexander's arm, laughing and chatting as we walked out of the revolving door. Then, I saw Ethan getting out of the car. I froze, my steps halting. Alexander's warm fingers gently held mine. Ethan's shirt was a bit wrinkled, and he wasn't wearing a tie. His face bore an unmistakable look of fatigue, his brows furrowed deeply, and his eyes were bloodshot. People were passing by on either side of us, and the musical fountain in the distance was playing cheerful music. This scene was like a slow-motion scene in a movie. Only I wasn't a spectator, but one of the unexpected protagonists. Perhaps it was Ethan's appearance at that moment that was so unexpected. Alexander instinctively shielded me behind him. But Ethan's expression was calm. He called my name as tenderly as he had when we were deeply in love, Chloe. I stood there motionless. The music continued to play joyfully around me. But for some reason, I felt a deep sadness I couldn't quite put into words. Perhaps it was for Chloe, who had heard those unbearable words that night. Perhaps it was for Chloe, who had been told she was being broken up with on short notice. Or maybe it was for Chloe, who had loved him foolishly for 7 years, but had let go completely in just 7 days. Chloe, I'm here to take you back to New York. Ethan didn't look at Alexander once. His gaze fell on my face, and it was incredibly tender. I couldn't even remember the last time he had looked at me like that before we broke up. Ethan stopped about a meter in front of me. Chloe, let's go back and get married. From now on, we'll live happily together, okay? He spoke so earnestly that I almost believed him. The Ethan who had recently said he wanted to give another girl a proper name was just a figment of my imagination. But it's too late now, Ethan. A broken heart can't be pieced back together. And the new heart that grew in the swamp already belongs to someone else. I shook my head gently. Ethan, please go. Chloe, I never touched Lily. We broke up in less than 3 days. The wedding dress you bought, I had it repaired by a master tailor. And our matching rings, I've kept them all safely. Chloe, I even had a diamond ring custom made. I'm serious. Ethan's eyes grew redder, and his voice trembled slightly. He held the exquisite diamond ring box, presenting it to me as if it were a treasure. The longing and hope in his eyes were incredibly delicate. Looking at him like this, I couldn't help but admit that I still felt pain. But it was only this pain. Ethan, I already have a boyfriend. I tightly held Alexander's hand, walked from behind him to his side, and stood shoulder to shoulder with him. The color drained from Ethan's face in an instant. His gaze slowly drifted downward. Finally, it rested on the fingers where Alexander and I were holding hands. On our middle fingers, there were matching rings. Just like the ones he and I had worn back then. Chloe, are you serious? I took a deep breath, turned my face toward Alexander, and nodded firmly. Yes, I'm serious. Ethan suddenly let out a low laugh. Do you really think he's serious about you? How much of his heart could he possibly have for you? 2 years ago, he fought tooth and nail with me over a project. Now he's pursuing you, Chloe. Do you really think there's no ulterior motive behind his actions? Does he dare to say honestly that he's pursuing you without any intention of competing with me, Ethan? Chloe, you're still so naive. The sky is as black as the crow, and men are all the same. You've been with me for 7 years, and so much has happened between us. Do you really think Alexander wouldn't care at all? Do you really think he could truly end up with you and grow old together? Aren't you afraid that being with him will just result in another 7 years like mine? The cheerful music had stopped at some point. Ethan's voice also fell silent. A moment of emptiness filled my ears. Then came the faint sound of something breaking. After that sound, there was an overwhelming sense of relief and release. See, I don't even feel sad anymore. It's just a shame that life always has to have some regrets. Before today, I never regretted loving Ethan. Whether good or bad, it was all part of my experience. But in this moment, I couldn't help but feel deep regret. Why did it take me 7 years to realize that Ethan, deep down, had never truly valued me? Alexander looked at me with pity and pulled me into his arms. My face was pale, but I still smiled at him and shook my head. I'm fine, Alexander. Be good. Go to the car first. I'll handle this here. I want to stay with you. I clutched his hand tightly, refusing to let go. Alexander stared at me for a moment, then suddenly lowered his head and kissed me passionately. Chloe, Alexander, have always lived my life with a clear conscience. I've never regretted anything. But at this very moment, I truly regret not taking you away from him back then. What gives you the right to take her from me? Taking advantage of someone in a vulnerable state. What kind of man are you, Alexander? Ethan, you don't deserve Chloe's 7 years of love and affection. Perhaps those words were the final straw. He had never lost his composure like this before, speaking without restraint. And what about you, Alexander? You've been with a woman who's been with you for 7 years. What gives you the right to stand here and speak so boldly? What do you like about her? Do you truly love Chloe, or do you just love the woman who was once mine? Alexander landed a heavy punch on Ethan's face. Ethan wasn't one to back down. The two exchanged blows, quickly leaving both of them bruised and bloodied. Security guards rushed over and managed to separate them. The two men still glared at each other angrily, refusing to back down. Can you stop now? I was both angry and anxious, my voice trembling with tears. Ethan's face turned ashen. Chloe, you saw it too. Alexander was the one who started it. This matter isn't over between us today. Yes, he was the one who started it. Mr. Fu, I'll make him apologize to you. We'll cooperate with whatever resolution you decide. Chloe, he was the one who spoke rudely first. Alexander immediately grew agitated. I gently pressed Alexander's hand and spoke calmly once more. Mr. Fu, I'll apologize to you on Al's behalf. Chloe, are you just going to protect him like this? Ethan took a slow step forward. He attacked me first. Chloe. Then how do you want to resolve this? Chloe, I'm hurt. Ethan pointed to his face. Do you see the injury here? It hurts so much. I glanced at it and spoke calmly. I'll call an ambulance for you. We'll cover all the expenses. Chloe, you know that's not what I want. Ethan tried to pull me, but I dodged him. Chloe. All the emotions he had been holding back shattered on Ethan's face. He looked at me with a sorrowful expression. But deep down, I felt nothing. Alexander suddenly winced in pain. Chloe, do you think I'm going to be disfigured? I quickly turned away. The man in front of me had a cut on his lip, his eye was swollen. And there was blood on his jaw. He looked quite terrifying. I took a tissue and helped him wipe it off. It hurts. Chloe, be gentle, Alexander exaggeratedly grimaced. You deserve it, I scolded him softly, but still gently wiped him clean. We need to go to the hospital to get stitches. Then you have to come with me, I'm afraid of needles. I couldn't help but glare at him, but I still nodded. Alexander suddenly hugged me tightly. I want you to kiss me again. It hurts so much here. I tiptoed slowly and gently placed a kiss on his wound. Ethan didn't say another word. The setting sun cast his shadow, stretching it out quietly. Perhaps it was in that moment when Chloe wiped the bloodstains off Alexander's face. Perhaps it was when Chloe coaxed Alexander to kiss her. He finally realized clearly that Chloe no longer loved him. Sophia's question that day had become a reality. Chloe wouldn't come back to him. He thought he was the one who could easily let go of 7 years of feelings. He thought he was the one in control of this relationship. He thought he was always in the driver's seat. But in that moment, he finally understood. The one who couldn't let go was Ethan. Chloe was the string holding the kite. When the string broke, the kite lost its direction and could never return home. I watched Ethan turn toward the car and saw his lonely figure disappear. The sun at dusk was suddenly swallowed by the horizon. The sky turned a pale rose blue. Ethan's car grew increasingly distant. And I seemed to see the 7 years of Chloe's life, from 17 to 24. As the car roared away, leaving no trace. I knew that from this day forward, the name Ethan would be as ordinary and common as any other name in the world. I wouldn't deliberately forget it, but I would never think of it again on my own. Chloe. Alexander gently embraced me. I turned my head, looked up at him, and smiled softly. Let's go to the hospital. On the night Alexander proposed, he drank a lot and held me close, saying many things. But the only words I remember are the simplest two. Chloe, we will never have such a 7-year period. Chloe, we will never break up. At the moment one makes such a vow, one must truly believe it. But when they break their promises, they wonder how anyone could ever believe such things. But I choose to believe Alexander. Actually, I believe in myself. I believe I deserve to be loved, and I believe that true love will never be betrayed. On the day Alexander and I got engaged, I received a gift from Beijing. It was the wedding dress I had once bought. Ethan had it repaired by a master tailor. Inside the box was a card. The handwriting was Ethan's. He wrote, "Chloe, I will always wait for you." Alexander was beside me and saw the card. He smiled confidently and kissed me hard on the cheek. Too bad, I won't give him the chance. But that night, the wedding dress disappeared without a trace. And I, long since, no longer cared about such trivial matters. In the 3rd year of my marriage to Alexander, we had our daughter, Shinyushi. Shortly after our daughter was born, Ethan sent us many expensive gifts. I asked Alexander for his opinion. He remained confident but was very ungenerous. Our daughter doesn't need these things. Let's donate them to an orphanage. Ugh, look at him. At his age, he doesn't marry or have a wife, yet he stares at other people's wives and children. He's just asking for trouble. I couldn't help but smile. Why meddle in other people's business? Alexander, for some reason, became delighted. In front of all the maids and nannies, he picked me up and spun me around. Chloe, what you just said was so nice. Say it again, please. What did I say? Hey, put me down first. I'm dizzy. Alexander wouldn't let go. He sat down, held me in his arms, and kissed me repeatedly. The words you just said. Why meddle in other people's business? I found it amusing yet couldn't help feeling a pang of sorrow. My best friend had once confided in me. The 2 years after I graduated from university were the worst years of Alexander's life. Yet he had never once mentioned it to me. He never showed even a hint of negativity in front of me. Why meddle in other people's business? We should focus on living our own lives well. After saying this exactly as he intended, he raised his hand and wrapped it around my neck. I kissed his slightly red ear and whispered softly in his ear. Husband, our daughter is 2 months old. Let's go to bed early tonight. 27. Ethan's side story. When Chloe's daughter was 3, the family of 3 returned to New York to visit relatives and stayed for several months. I had many mutual friends with her, and they gathered almost every day. I naturally didn't join them. But after each gathering, I couldn't help but inquire about her. They said that after marrying, Chloe had gone to Paris to study for 2 years. During those 2 years, Alexander tirelessly shuttled between San Francisco and Paris without a single complaint. Later, Chloe returned to Hong Kong to start her own magazine and served as its editor-in-chief. Alexander supported all her decisions and choices unconditionally. The only thing he wasn't entirely satisfied with was her frequent late nights and busy schedule. She could have been a pampered, privileged housewife, but she chose not to. She grew more beautiful over time, but her beauty was not her only quality. Her relationship with Alexander grew stronger. Their daughter was stunningly beautiful, just like Chloe when she was a child. In fact, she never knew that I still kept a photo of her when she was 5 years old in my wallet. New York is such a big city, yet the social circle is so small. But Chloe and I never crossed paths once. One day at lunchtime, I happened to see their daughter, Shinyushi, at the buffet. She was hiding behind a rockery, secretly eating a box of ice cream. She looked like a cute little squirrel, her mouth stuffed full. My feet stopped moving on their own, and I just stood there watching her, unable to look away. Soon, I heard Chloe calling her name. She heard her too, and her eyes widened in fear. She clutched the ice cream box, unsure of what to do. I found myself walking over, kneeling down, and whispering to her, "Are you afraid your mom will find out you're eating ice cream?" She nodded, her big eyes darting around, looking very clever. "Uncle will help you hide, okay?" She hesitated for a moment, staring at me for a while. As if she was sure I wasn't a bad person, she nodded again. I picked her up. She was so small, soft, and fragrant, curling up in my arms. My throat felt blocked, a bitter taste filling my mouth. Everything before my eyes began to blur. If time could go back to that year, that night, I wouldn't let any of that happen. Chloe would be my wife. We would get married in New York and have children. She wouldn't be called Shinyushi. She would be the daughter of Chloe and me. I lifted my face, forcing back the tears, and smiled down at her. Yes, Uncle knows you. Do you know my name? Her soft little hands wrapped around me. I'll tell you a secret. My name is Shinyushi. It's because Daddy Alexander and Mommy Chloe kissed each other, and that's how I came to be. Is that so? That's a really nice name. I kissed her soft little face. All right, we can't stay here too long. Mom will worry. She nodded obediently. Then I'll have one more bite of ice cream, just one. She took a big bite and smiled mischievously at me like a kitten. I stroked her hair. Go find your mom now. I watched her walk away. Her princess dress looked like a blooming flower, blossoming far away in Chloe's arms. I didn't look at Chloe again. I was afraid I'd start crying foolishly in the crowded hall. Chloe wouldn't care about anything related to me, but Alexander must think I'm ridiculous. Yes, the first half of my life was so absurd, so ridiculous. And the remaining half of my life can't even be absurd or ridiculous, it's just a fantasy.